No.
Zero, do the thing.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Zero Interest. And this time we're doing Konosuba for the third time. And boy, am I so cheerful and happy. We have a new setup. Because boy, am I so cheerful and happy. Are you liking this now, Casey?
Zero's pissy because the last time we started this, he was like, yeah, we're doing this thing, and it's gonna be great, and we're doing the show, it's gonna...
I love this show. I love this show so much, but I hate doing things multiple times, over and over again. That's just how I am.
All due respect, Zero. Suck it up. So, what are we doing at your behest?
Konosuba, episode 1. You know what, Casey? You should go ahead and tell them what happens in Konosuba, episode 1.
So, from what Zero has told me, and we've gone through these explanations several times, I understand Zero's frustration, but again, suck it up. So, this is a show that is from what's called the Isekai genre, or it's essentially guy from the real world ends up in a fantasy setting, and stuff happens. Yeah. And this one was supposed to be something of a parody of those at some points, and also just trying to play it straight sometimes whenever it feels like it.
It kind of was more, I guess, more like subverting some of the stuff of making it like, no, it's not this super like overpowered this super overpowered like otaku in another world that gets all the girls or whatever. It's this kind of spiteful, petty, kind of mean group of people who kind of like are friends, but they're also like they kind of tear each other down in the way that friends would, I guess. So they're more realistically portrayed, and it's a comedy series. Well, they started off like any new characters, which is pretty shallow, I guess. I mean, it was the same way for RWBY, so.
A little bit, but this show starts with more characters based on character tics than anything else, especially than RWBY by comparison.
Yeah, but this is also like, I feel like the writer really knows how to write a specific type of comedy, and that's where he excels at. And as he writes more, you can tell he gets better. Is like with characters.
Right. So this show, it starts with, I'm doing the summary, by the way, because Zero did the summaries for RWBY, and now we're switching roles because I'm doing a thing that I don't want to do, but Zero does. So, just to explain the format a little better for you. So, this show starts with our main character, whatever his name is, I still don't know, and still don't especially care.
Kazuma.
Sure. He's walking down a road, he's gone to buy a game or something, and he sees a hot girl, and she's about to get hit by a truck, and he pushes her out of the way and gets hit by the truck instead, and goes to the afterlife. He dies. What a shame.
Mm-hmm.
And
what a shame.
When he gets to the afterlife, he's greeted by a goddess named Aqua, who instantly starts giving him shit for the way he died, because it turns out it wasn't a truck, it was a tractor, and that girl would have been perfectly fine, and in fact, he would have been perfectly fine being hit by the tractor if he didn't piss himself and die from shock. So, yeah.
恐怖で失禁気を失い近くの病院に搬送医者や看護師に笑われながら心臓麻痺やめろ聞きたくない聞きたくない聞きたくない
And all the doctors are laughed at you. Yep. And all your family came.
Now your family are arriving at the hospital and they're laughing at you right now. And yeah.
It's just like, oh no. And she's like, okay, so you got two options
Okay,
here.
now that I feel better and I've broken my tension,
Yeah.
you have three options. You can go to heaven, which, just to let you in on a little secret, and she does this while bending over, and the camera is just zoomed right up on her bare ass. Zero said there's a thing about whether she's wearing knickers or not. She's not. You could see them if they were there. She says, heaven's really not all it's cracked up to be. It's the usual heaven's not so great because all of the boring people go there, and you can't have sex because sex is a sin, and you can't sin in heaven, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, so heaven's not that great, so you could do that, or you could reincarnate, essentially, and start over back on Earth, just as a baby with no memories from this life. Or I'm going to do you a super special favor, and you could reincarnate on another world with all of your memories, as you are now, but also with a super special gift that I'll give you, as long as you go there and you try and slay the Devil King, or whatever he's called.
You can take whatever you want with you, whether it be a super awesome sword or the ability to like use all magic, whatever you want. And so he's looking through the catalog of like cards and stuff that she threw all over the ground. And she's like eating chips and like laughing at him, like, "Come on, hurry up! You're taking way too long."
It's not like he could do anything anyway.
And he gets kind of pissed off. He's like, "Screw it! I'm taking you with me."
And she's like, stops for a second, and she's like, "All right, so we're just gonna wait. What?"
And then Angel Ascends is like, "Hey, okay, cool. Well, I'm gonna take your place from now, Aqua. Just go beat the Devil King, and you can come back to being a goddess. Bye, you two. Have a good time." And sends them off. And Aqua's screaming and being like, "No, no!" And Kazuma's laughing, like maniacally, of "Yes, yes!"
And now I'm going to have a goddess on my side who's going to give me a life of luxury. Yes!
Yes!
And then they get there, and then she sucks. And she sucks.
Yeah, she is stupid.
And conceited, and self-involved, and just a child, and has a temper tantrum when things don't go her way, and expects things to go her way. Yeah.
Yeah, and so
shitty people can make for good characters too. They don't always have to be good people.
Yeah.
So she's having a hissy fit and just saying, Zero's still trying to do the summary because he likes the show and wants, to talk about it and stuff.
I know. I'm going to try to stop, but like, okay.
I did the same thing, so it's, So she's throwing a hissy fit, and he's like, okay, we need to actually do something, or are we going to be living on the street? So let's go to the guild. There's always a guild. This is a fantasy place. It's like an RPG, so let's go to the guild and get a job. And she's like, wow, you're actually kind of useful in this very, very specific circumstance. And no other. So they go to the guild.
Of course I am.
They go to the guild, and they say, hey, yeah, we're here to sign up and fight the Devil King and stuff. And one of the adventurers is like, hey, fucking welcome to hell, or something.
And he's like, yeah! And like, every time they meet, like, that guy that they saw, he's a recurring character, and every time they meet, he's kind of like impressed by like Kazuma's guts, so they do like a thumbs up to each other. And it's just kind of a fun little thing.
I like that guy. I'm glad he's a recurring character. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So they go up to the counter and say, hey, we want to sign up and be adventurers and stuff. And the receptionist, I'm going to say, is like, okay, registration fee, please.
They ain't got no money.
So that plan's kind of put on hold. They get, just sit in the, let's call it cafeteria. And they can't order any food or anything because, again, no money. So Aqua decides, okay, I'm going to be useful for now, and says, all right, I'm going to go see that priest and get him to give me some money because I'm a goddess, and that's how this works.
He might be from my, like, sect. It'll work out.
So she introduces herself as the goddess Aqua, and that he should, give them money as, like, a tithe or something. And he's like, I don't actually belong to that sect. I belong to this other one.
Eris.
Yeah, so, my goddess is actually, the subordinate to yours, but, everyone's got to help out sometimes, so I'll help and give you some money. Also, you shouldn't be, masquerading as a goddess. That's not okay.
That's kind of sacrilegious, so. And the result is Aqua's spirit is kind of shattered by that. I just borrowed money from a follower of my subordinate. What does my life become? And so they decide, let's go register now, finally.
Yeah. In fairness, that's not actually that far from what should be happening. If it's a follower of her subordinate, then she should be able to say, okay, you give me money, and they do it, and that's what happened. So I don't know what she's complaining about. But
she has her pride. I guess.
Okay, well, she was, gung-ho about doing it before. Oh well.
It's like borrowing money from your little brother. Like, you put up a pretty lame image.
Okay, if you say so. She was borrowing money from a follower anyway, even if it was hers. So they go up to the counter, and they're like, okay, we have the money, so let's sign up, be adventurers. So they're like, all right, here's this card. It's going to have all your stuff about you being an adventurer on it. Touch the shiny thing, and it will tell us what your abilities are and what kind of class you can be. So Kazuma, I'm going to try and remember his name. Try and give the show a little credit. He's like, okay, and he does it. And his stats come out as mediocre in just about everything. His intelligence is slightly above average. His luck is enormous. But that's not really useful for an adventurer. So the receptionist is like, maybe you should be like a merchant or something instead. That'd probably work better for you.
And then Aqua does it, and her intelligence is below average, and her luck is awful, but all her other stats are great. And you should be an arc priest. And she's like, yeah, I'm going to be an arc priest because goddess isn't available.
Yeah, it's more like you could be literally anything except a magic user because you are dumb as a rock. But, and yeah, she's like, okay, I'll be an arc priest because, goddess isn't really a choice. It's not really a class anyway. It's just something that you naturally are. So, it's all.
And everybody's like, wow, she's so awesome. She's so cool. Kazuma's just getting,
ignored.
Really. Yeah. Ticked off. And so they have a montage. Which you've said before over and over again, reused animations.
Yep.
You're not a big fan of.
Generally speaking, no, I'm not a fan of reused animations. I'm not a fan of this sort of thing when it goes on for far, far too long. It just felt like it was filling time. Yeah.
And so they do that, and they work as, literally just construction workers for, a month, and they sleep in the stables, and they get drunk with their coworkers. And the end result is they end up kind of sort of friends. And they're like, wait, we should go do a mission, an actual kill quest. Weren't we supposed to do, defeat the Demon King and stuff? It's not supposed to be what we're supposed to be focusing on. And Aqua's like, yeah, we'll just go do a kill quest.
Yeah. And that's pretty much the end of the episode. Then it does the intro, and there was one thing I liked about the intro, and that was with the characters walking away from the camera doing the little wiggle thing.
Yeah, it's a little bit of silliness, and the second opening has a lot more of that silliness, I guess. There's a part where they all do like a silly dance, and it's great.
Now I just have the Sengoku Basara with the army dancing thing stuck in my head.
Well, when you see this dance, you're probably gonna get it stuck in your head. So thoughts, Casey, to retread old ground.
Okay. So the first time we recorded this, I said that I hadn't actually watched any of these shows before. It's not really a genre that I got into, so the in-jokes don't work for me. Funny thing is, later on, during the second recording, giving the backstory for trying to record this show, I realized I have actually watched a couple of these shows. Sword Art Online, you could call one at a push. Log Horizon is definitely one. And No Game, No Life, I've watched as well. It seems like those ones, though, were not really trying to be isekai shows, or even if they were trying to subvert it as well. So a lot of the parody elements of this show in particular just aren't landing with me, because I don't get the jokes. Like, Zero's mentioned the truck is a big thing that happens in most of them. Yeah,
it's kind of a recurring element, and like the thing is, most of these like different like anime isekai things it's usually I say usually because it's not always, it's usually the better ones that like get adaptations to anime. But like this thing started as a light novel, and the light novel right now, if you look at the light novels that are being translated right now to English, the huge majority of them are kind of trash, and they suffer from all the worst tropes. So as somebody who reads light novels, like this, seeing this was like, okay, thank you, you're actually doing something new. So
yeah, that's not a thing I deal. I don't read light novels. I like even ones for series I like DxD. I haven't read because I don't care. The translations are probably not going to be amazing based on how certain, like the DxD ones I've seen.
Yeah,
I've seen fics that try and ape the style of the translation, and it reads like crap.
I read the light novels. And they were okay, but like you're never going to get somebody trying to ape that style correctly. With the light novels for Konosuba, there is an official translation you can actually buy online, and you can read that. And then there's the unofficial translation, which is way farther ahead. Like you have the first couple volumes, whereas opposed to you have 10 volumes translated unofficially. So yeah, as like a sort of a light novel thing, there's just so much crap. I could just send you titles of light novels that'll make you cringe.
And I would not read them.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't expect you to. But like, oh hey, instead of making this setting interesting, instead of one goddess giving me a cheat, there's 100 goddesses giving me cheats. Yeah. That happens. That's a thing. That exists. That's boring.
It depends on how it's done with most stories. I mean, I could see circumstances where you could write that story and that be an interesting story. Like, for example, even then, it's like you're still ridiculously underpowered. Or
the writers that do these, though, their goal is to be overpowered and for it to be an easy, relaxed time. And that's not a story.
Yeah. So, yeah, a lot of this isn't landing as well as it might for someone who's into this sort of stuff, or has at least experienced this sort of stuff, this sort of story that's kind of garbage. So it's just kind of seeming like a moderately okay version of that, to me, at least.
Yeah, the further away we get from the stuff around the whole isekai genre stuff, the further away we get from that stuff is where it starts to, like, it will start to grab you more.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, yeah. I like the facial expressions. Like, the characters are quite expressive.
No character makes the same two faces, I swear.
So, that's pretty cool. The yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to say for this episode, at least. So
Yeah.
I don't want to jump the gun because we've already seen the next two, and that's cheating. So
All right. We'll be back next time with episode 2 of Konosuba, recorded for the 3rd time. Yeah.
we're
right.
halfway through the ones we've already done, dude. Chill.
I know. I'm getting back my energy. Because I'm also waking up more.
Yeah, that's very good.
I'm gonna drink more of this green tea I have over here. Okay, bye.
It's a subtle outro there, mate.